When people generally see my videos or my performance, they come up to me and they'll ask me, do you really need all those synthesizers? That is today's video. Let's get into it right here and right now. Hey, what's up? I'm in the kitchen and thank you for checking out yet another video. Now, if this is your first time here, don't hesitate to click subscribe. You'll be informed whenever I upload a new video. That is when you click the bell icon as well. And you might be interested in sending over some samples that I can maybe use in the next videos. If that is something that you would like to get into, or you would like to get your hands on some exclusive content as well, head over to patreon.com/NLOkitchen, where you can get in touch with me directly. It's always good to have more answers than questions. If you have more questions, head over there, support me over there, and get in touch, and you can support the vibe. I'm working on an album. I want to do it with a nice backdrop of some graphic elements that are in there, you know, to add to the live performance if ever this COVID thing lifts. So when that is happening, so you can support me over there and help me on my quest in getting there. Do I really need all those synthesizers? Well, the short answer basically is no. But it's not that simple. It's a little bit more complicated because when you're doing a live set, I mean, in my case, I need my different synthesizers to do different tasks. At the same time, I don't want everything to do completely different stuff so that everything is just jumping about. I have an orchestra education, so the different synthesizers need to do different tasks, but at the same time, they need to just play harmonies that interact and make the whole sound like a recording. Also, a thing that I found is that if I rely on one specific MIDI source to just play everything and that breaks down, that's the end of my live set right there. If you are from an era that you used to play records, you remember when the blanket of dust started to build underneath the needle, that at some point you knew that needle was heading for the label, and then you heard end of the sound. Everybody understood that. When it comes to MIDI, it just breaks down, and that's silencio! Unless you've got a microphone and you're a very good singer, it means there's no sound. The last thing that I would want when I'm performing is that there's no sound. No sound, not good. What I've done is I split my MIDI up in different segments. So yes, I do need different synthesizers, because instead of the one sequencer with the bass line and with stuff attached to it, what I would like is to have multiple things as an orchestra. You've got your saxophone players over there, your trombones over here, your flutes over there, your clarinets over there, and they play together. But if one stops, another can take over. If something breaks down, for instance, I sometimes bring my 909 drum computer that I can just wire up through the multi-clock, which sends 4 different MIDI streams to the different tasks. So if my MPC says, not today, mister, and it stops, I need to make sure that, and I can sing, but I don't want to do that live on stage, but I want something else to just keep going. So my 909 will go, and I will go into some sort of a 90s acid kind of thing while I'm restarting the MPC or the Octatrack or whatever it is that's the culprit at that specific point. And you didn't find out anything about it because I went all CIA on you. The better I did my job, the less you're gonna find out about it. So something breaks down, you didn't know it. And that is the thing, you have to think ahead. Because if you're doing long sets, at some point, something is going to break down. That is going to happen. And it's nerve-wracking if you did not prepare for it. So that is why I'm bringing more synths. And obviously, if you're a gear nerd like me, you can never, ever have too many synthesizers. If you're starting out and you want to make sure how many synthesizers do I need, you don't want to be breaking the bank. But what a tip that I would like to give you is buy one piece of equipment that you really like, review it before you buy it. There are a few stores that can send it over, you can test it out, and when you really like it, buy it, master it to the best of your ability. And once you know that synth inside out, then you'll buy another one to accompany what you already have. And that's how you build your arsenal, or your electronic orchestra, if you will. That's a good title, electronic orchestra. I should remember that. Anyway, let's head over to the live set and let me show you on how I set up my sound. In the near future, I'm going to get in depth in what is in my fly case and how I have connected it. That's not today's video though, but that is something. And there was a comment as well, somebody asking me to get into that drum code, sort of like techno sound. I'm going to do a video on that pretty soon as well. Today though, I'd like to look at different synths, how they interact, and why on earth I need all those synthesizers. Let's head over there, let's get it going, let's go. Okay gang, so pretty much this is the case with all the equipment in it. If you follow this channel, you pretty much know what the setup is. If you're new here, welcome. What I have is a case with the DSI Tetra, the Akai MPC Live, the Octatrack Mark I, Mini Tower over here, Model D over here, Audio Things Micro Monster, my trusty Swiss Army knife when it comes to MIDI. That's the multi-clock by German company called ERM. Erfindingsbureau Meyer is what it's called, I think TB03, did I say that? No. I've got the mixer, the L12 live track here today. Then I've got a Novation launch control over here and a SH101 over here. Now, what I would usually do if I start a set, if it's midday and it's a cool vibe and I want everybody to get into the zone of the stuff that I'm doing, I'll pretty much start with a TB03. On filter low, bit of a delay, I'll enter it like this. And the thing with the TB03, there's a bit of a delay and reverb on it. I've got the delay setting now. So you can go a little bit Richie Hawtin on everyone with that old tape delay style. Now the problem that I have with this is that it's already setting the pace and very rhythmical. So if it's early in the day, I'll probably opt to go for something else, a little bit more musical and not so much already in a sequence. So I'll probably go for the SH101, and I have the setting on up and down on the arpeggio. It's getting a trigger signal from the multi-clock because this thing sends out trigger signals, which is nice for a modular or old school stuff that works with the external clocks like the SH101, but also DIN sync. So you can send out a DIN sync signal to say a 606 or an 808. Now, in short, this thing's got 4 different knobs on top. It's got like your start stop right here, so you can see the 4 1 2 3 4 1. You see that on the one the red light is blinking a little bit brighter, so you know exactly what's going on. The top row of knobs is setting the lag and shift of the different MIDI channels, and the bottom row is swing. It's that simple. Now this thing eats all kinds of signals, so you can sync everything up to everything else. So if you know that MIDI lag is a problem that you have, this thing is going to save the day. Okay, having said that, I'd like to start with a little bit of a hypnotic, maybe an arpeggio. So I'll start with something like this. Take out the sub oscillator. So let's start with a little bit of a saw. And I'll hide the sound away in the background. Now what I'm going to do is add synths and synths and synths and layer them so you can see that having multiple options will actually work. The trick why I think I need multiple synthesizers is because of when stuff breaks down. And when you do long sets, eventually something is going to break down at some point. Now, I've got different ports on my multi-clock, which means that, let me just start to keep the stuff a little bit interesting with the sound. It means that on the 4 ports, I've got different things. So on port 1, as you can hear, is the 101. On port 2 is the 303. On port 3, however, is the Akai MPC Live and the Octatrack. So I've linked those two together because the way I'm doing my melodic productions, when I switch different chords here, this thing needs to instantly switch as well, because I don't want this to be in a B sharp and this go to a C flat. That's not going to work. So I've set it up through MIDI control, and it was hard setting it up. But anyway, if this one switches to a different sequence, the Akai, then the Octatrack will follow as well. Minitar bass, Model D. For low notes, I'll use this for the low note basses. The Minitar, I'll use it for the short punchy basses and for some low leads as well. The Audio Things Micro Monster is there for arpeggiation in the back. So I got my arpeggios coming from here, as well as some pads. So this is a texture synthesizer. I use it as a texture synthesizer. And then the DSI Tetra, which is like also a monster. I love this machine. It's also polyphonic in a way, or at least it's using 4 oscillators, which is why they call it Tetra. And it's got a different sound altogether. Now, having said that though, the different MIDI lines do different things. So if something breaks down, say I'm playing and the Akai stops, I can then, on port 4, which I'm not using right now, but I can then, if I have my 909 set on that, I'll just play that together with the acid line and something is still moving. Because of my orchestra education, I want my different things to do different tasks. So right now, we've got raindrops falling from the SH-101. Let's see if we can build it up and build a little bit more tension. Let's add the TBR3. synthesizing. Now we want more of a Stranger Things kind of sound happening on the 101. Let's see if we can make that work. Yeah, here we go. Let's shorten the note on the 101 and open up the filter on the Model D. Now say for instance, oh, what's happening? The Akai is stopping, there you get. You just mastered, you're making a break. Switch to a different waveform. Make this even more hypnotic. Lower the filter on the Model D and hit it again. Shorten this. Enter another sound into the mix. Take out the kick. Build more tension on a different pattern. Now I'm going to mask sounds so that other sounds play a little bit more. Take out the Jupiter. What have we here? we got a whole different thing altogether again. Shorten the notes on the mini tower, lower the filter, and watch what happens with the TB-03. DSI Tetra in the mix. Jupiter. Move to a different pattern, see what we have. And go back to this pattern. Another arpeggio by the Audio Things Micro Monster. And if you take this bass line out by the Model D, you can also introduce the Roland TB-03 as a bass line if you just lower it an octave. So I just played the octave up. Let's see what happens if we open the filter a little bit, turn it up a little bit more, and go for the deeper bass notes. And this is nice to hypnotize your crowd even more if we take out the music. And this is how I just gradually just move from one thing into another, soundscape it more. Different patterns. Take out the kick. So, working the filters. Lower it. Baseline. Wind it down. Break it down more. I'm always trying to focus, like, if something enters the room, it needs to be there for a reason, you know? I'm not going to just tread lightly. These things need to just have a purpose for you to hear them, otherwise, why would I use it? And then just old school, turn the volume down. Go back to my bass drum. Shorten the notes back to raindrops. Let me know how you use your equipment. I do understand that it's down to budget sometimes, you know. I mean, if you want to bring 15 synthesizers, obviously there's a risk of stuff breaking down when you take it to a club or to a venue or whatever, and you like to keep stuff manageable. So when I started out, I pretty much started with a few different boxes and then I'll just build it out from there, you know. So I love different textures and different sounds and different harmonies, but I do want to get into the characteristics of the different synths and drum computers, and you know, so it's very important to have a set plan on where it is that you think your set needs to be going. This is one of the most important things, you know. You have to just like fantasize on where you think your sound is headed and get stuff accordingly. A lot of people do it the other way around. They buy something and then they start jamming on it and they find out after a few months, maybe this thing is not for me. So I have a set sort of like sound in my head that I want to accomplish when I'm on stage, and that is what I'm looking for. So if it's acid, then obviously you're going in the direction of anything that does acid lines or TB03, 303, whatever, you know. I've got my SH101 that I'm really fell in love with. I've got this thing for a long time, but for some reason it's only the last maybe 2 years and I'm really getting into it. I've got a Korg Monopoly that I'm going to use in future videos as well. There's something with these machines. They stood the test of time. They are actually still current and relevant. So it's cool to just have a plan on where you want to go. I can always tell you, buy one piece of equipment and master it to the best of your ability. Hey, thanks for hanging around. I would like to say thank you to all you new subscribers out there as well. This thing is growing. It's growing faster than I ever anticipated. So I'm very happy. Look at my face. This is a happy camper. you know what's going on. All right, so links to all the stuff that I'm using, noted below, as well as supporting me on Patreon. The links are all down there. The music, where you can find it, that's also down there as well. And I will see you in another video. Peace.